take 110. We were going to talk about the fact that people travel to see bands. So what started this off as, we had the K's down, which we had, it was very, very, very close to a sellout. We had a lot of people who travelled to see the K's, and we were taken by the devotion that people have to certain bands.
That's a good word. That's the word I was trying to think of. The devotion.
So we had one of the guys flew. So first of all, Chinnerys brought up the fact that email accounts where people were buying tickets from Cornwall and Scotland and Liverpool and Yorkshire, and we're thinking that's unusual for us that they would come down that far. And we met one of the guys who had flown down from Scotland, stayed a couple of nights, went back because he wanted to see the K's in a small place like Chinnerys, and not many people do that.
I don't. Yeah, no. I'd love to know how a band can get that sort of dedicated fan base that they will travel anywhere. And I'm not talking about a big band. All right, the K's are on the rise. They're not known everywhere, and they've not had a chart hit or whatever, but they have got a collection of fans that follow them everywhere. They go on tour. They don't wait till they come to the town to watch them. They will go on tour with them. Yeah,
it's a little bit like supporting a football or rugby team. They'll do away days. They'll just go wherever they go, which is it's got to be unusual. But how did it start? How did it come together? And then how did it grow into this K's on fire thing? You know? So and again, I wonder, is that something I wouldn't travel too far? Because we live near London, it's very easy and we become lazy. We're an hour away. We can get to Camden in an hour and a quarter, done, or wherever it might be, and it's easy to get on a train. For these people who come from other parts, it's a lot of driving, or it's different trains. I don't know whether I do that.
I don't know. We're lazy. It's just that. I mean, we remember Casino. Yeah, Casino.
Yes.
And they supported Zutons back in February this year. I'd go to Liverpool to see them because they're Liverpool based. Yes. I think that'd be great. And I think people do go to maybe I'm going to see the Fontaines in Dublin in a couple of weeks' time. But these fans, these K's fans, they go from Liverpool and then they'll get in their cars, they'll go to Manchester for the next gig. It's the same gig. They'll go to Carlisle and they'll go to Nottingham and they'll slowly walk down, they end up at Chinnerys and they'll go to Penzance and they'll follow the band everywhere. I wouldn't do that, and I don't understand how and why they would do that. What do they get out of it?
It does happen. It's not just lower down bands. Like, that happens with major artists, and I mean, like the 1975. Like I know people that. Okay, that turned off. It's alright. I know people that went to like every date on like the UK tour in 1975.
But why? Why?
It was like a whole show within itself. It wasn't just a gig. Like,
but why do they do it? What is the reason?
Is it a thing? So if someone said to me, "What's your favourite film?" or something, I would rattle off a load of them. I wouldn't be able to say one, but some people will say that is my favourite film, and I watch it every week. Is that kind of like the same thing? Do people have a favourite, and that's their favourite, whereas I don't have that?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just. Yeah, I'd like to know. I'd like to have a real sit-down chat with one of these people.
Maybe we can get
why do you do it?
K's on Fire to have a little chat with us on our podcast in the future, and they can how it formed and how it grew, because it was very, very impressive. And not only did they get behind the band and themselves, they got behind us. They pushed us. They've now started following us. They're the most impressive fan club group that I've ever seen. So
I mean, what about the financials on this? I know. All right, they're not Oasis, but so if you went to every Oasis gig in their next tour, you'd be mortgaged. But it's going to cost you a few good grand, probably a couple of grand, include all the travel and the accommodation, all that. I don't know.
It's we'll do that. We'll have a chat.
Find out why
with the K's on fire. Get them on here.
Things you always want to know about fans, but are afraid to ask.
Yeah,
something like that.
That'll be good. We'd like to get that down. So that's something. where do we start with this? Where do we start with this, Harvey?
Why do we start with this, Harvey?
Travelling and
Travelling.
see bands.
What I would say is that a lot of, I know like with the 1975, like it's a lot to do with the community behind it.
Yeah, that's true.
They travel and like you'll see like the same people and you get to know them, and like I know people that have become.
So a lot of these people drive. I mean,
I know.
Personally, I always go to a gig by public transport because I have a drink.
Yes.
And I don't. That doesn't mean I need a drink to enjoy the gig.
No,
but you know, you know, that's been they're driving around the country, and therefore maybe they don't drink. I don't know. So.
Well, this came up. Well, know what I'm brought this subject up for, because the Pretenders recently apparently said we're going to go on tour. Can you only come to one of the gigs?
Really?
I don't know if this is true, but it may not have been. But I think it is because of the background to it and what happened afterwards. So they said, we don't want to keep seeing the same people at the front of the crowd.
Okay.
And it was quite a big thing because a lot of bands picked up. And
Did they say why they didn't want to see?
They want to be playing to a different audience. They don't want to be playing to the same people, which, again, going to the format of the case as an example, I imagine you would, and I think it might have been that came up, and I think one of the bands that answered this was they feel very comfortable if they see the same people. They feel more at ease. They feel like they've got a big support where they've got the same people that come in. They feel like it's much more homely,
and probably relaxes them, makes them feel more at ease, therefore produce a better show, etc., etc., etc.
So I think maybe that's why. But the Pretenders didn't like that, or maybe they just thought, I don't know, maybe I don't know why. I don't quite know the reason. It was they didn't feel as comfortable, and you know, it made me think of, at the time of reading that the fact that certainly the K's have that following, and I know a lot of other bands do as well. There's a bit of a thing at the moment, isn't there, for putting up your list of the bands you've got coming up. I can't remember what's the word for it. I can't remember. Anyway, a lot of people are pushing all the bands they're seeing in the next month or whatever, and a big list of them, and quite often they're the same bands. So there is a lot of following behind certain bands.
All right, so that's one for, we need to get an expert down here.
Yes.
I've got another topic that I'm thinking off the top of my head that we need to get someone in to discuss, and that is, why do people have these at gigs? Why are they on?
Very controversial subject.
Very. One of my pet hates, people that hold these things up at gigs and film it.
It's certainly I really don't get the videoing of either an entire concert or an entire song. I quite like to get a snap, a reminder.
Yes, that's fine.
But people, they stand there videoing the whole thing. It is a bit.
I just find it ruins the atmosphere and the feeling of the gig itself and the musicians are playing.
Yeah,
it ruins everything.
Yeah, we went to Shine On, and there was a guy in front of us with quite a big tablet standing there filming what seemed to be the entirety of it. Yeah. Which I'm sure will he ever look at it again? I don't know. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But I'm thinking this seems ridiculous. He's not looking at what's going on. He's looking at his screen.
Yeah, and again, we went to see Faithless last week, didn't we? And I saw Faithless way back in the 90s before a smartphone ever existed, and the audience at that gig, those gigs back then, they just full on into it and dancing and whooping and hollering, etc. Go now to see the same band nowadays, and everybody is standing there like that.
That is true.
And that is absolutely ridiculous, and they miss the point of the gig, I think.
Maybe that's it, because that Faithless gig, so I saw Faithless at Glastonbury this year, and the entire crowd, front to back, side to side, they still may have had the odd phone out, but they were all involved. Whereas, if that crowd at Brixton, I didn't feel that crowd, and maybe it's because there was a lot of them holding on to the cameras that stopped them jumping about.
Now, I've seen, maybe about a year ago, I remember a couple of bands put out stuff on social media saying, please don't use your phone at the show.
Yes.
Put it in your pocket. I actually, I think I remember seeing one venue asked the fans to put their phone in a secure locker or something.
They drop them in and you bring them
pick them
out
up at the end. That was about a year. I've not seen that recently, so maybe it didn't work.
Harvey has his hand up.
One thing, surely it benefits a band to an extent for people to video it and put it on their story because it's
See, is this an older, younger thing? Because
I don't agree with that.
But two, I know you two have gone to gigs and done at least a little video.
Done a little bit.
I have not.
So
but
are you okay? Nigel hasn't, to be fair, but John, I've seen your little video.
I do it.
He does. He does a little bit,
Yeah.
and that's fine. But it's the people that stand there. They don't move because they're wobbling their phone about.
When they video a whole,
Yeah.
I think
the whole set or the whole song or something.
it probably is. Again, I don't know. I don't want to sound old, but it possibly is slightly generational because obviously nowadays younger people have it on their phones all the time for everything. So I suppose to them, it feels very natural. Whereas for us, we're just not used to it. Again, to be fair, at that Shine Festival, most of the people at Shine seemed to be, the demographic was generally 50-year-old men, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're older. And there wasn't that many
and
phones
there wasn't
out.
that many phones out. I mean, even when I remember
the
going
younger
to
people like you, Harvey, that are ruining the industry.
we went and saw. I remember we went and saw. I can't remember what gig it was. It was pretty packed out at Shine, and I didn't see any. I think it might have been one of the Utah Saints thing. No one had the phone out. When I brought it out to get my shot, I actually felt a bit awkward because I was getting it out.
Yeah.
Whereas go to some gigs. I mean, I obviously not been to a Post Malone or an Usher gig or whoever it might be. That sounds. But could there be phones everywhere because they're a younger audience? I mean, I can't remember.
Yeah, I just think it's ruined the live music experience in general.
It does. Yeah, you don't. Moshing is great. If you couldn't hold your phone when you were moshing because you'd lose that phone, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
What do you think looks better? Back in the day where you'd get a lighter out and
The lighter.
and swing it round, or when people get their mobile
Right.
phones out.
So at Shine, Embrace, I think
Embrace.
they told everybody to get their phone out and put the torch on, which I refused to do anyway. Now, in the old days, it was a lighter. I appreciate not a lot of people smoke these days. It was just
That's
better
why.
with a lighter.
It was better, but of course people don't.
They don't have
lighter.
lights. Maybe they should give out lighters at gigs to promote the flame holding experience. I don't
Sponsored by
know.
Marlboro.
Sponsored by big lighters.
People, like, they never used to be a merch item, but I remember like in like 2013 or something, like the 1975 had like a specific 1975 lighter, but it was a really cool lighter, but it's like a collectible item now.
There you go.
And of course, Coldplay, they have their wristbands, don't they? But I mean, again, it's probably just a thing that we're just because actually, if you're a band and you're looking out, everyone holding your phone up, it probably looks brilliant. So I think it's just one of them things. But yeah, we do like a lively gig, and I think most times you wouldn't get your phone out at a lively gig because you're probably going to lose your phone in that instance. I mean, you go to watch Prodigy, you wouldn't want to risk getting your phone out.
You might get the phones out for the initial band coming on and the first drop into the first track, but after that, phones tend to go away because it's just so manic.
I mean, Harvey got a very good. I can't remember what gig. What was it? At the K's when you got your shot in the mosh pit.
Oh yeah.
And I was watching across and seeing Harvey with his camera. All I could see was an arm slowly sort of flailing around, and it almost looked like he was dying underneath the crowd.
Sand of people.
Oh, mate, no, I love it. I've done worse gigs than that.
It's funny, we were talking again recently, weren't we? So we've got Kikapichi coming down in April.
There won't be a lot of phones out of that one.
There won't be a lot of phones out there. But they, taking it further, so most bands don't like having cameramen or women on stage.
Well, I think that's an older thing.
Okay, well, Kikapichi. So I saw this video recently. I mentioned it to you, Harvey, didn't I? That they had not one but two people on stage, two cameramen, one probably videoing. Literally, they were part of the band. They were walking around as if that was they was the guitarist, the cameraman, the videographer. They were on stage walking about, but of course they got the best shots. I mean, it looked absolutely brilliant of people jumping around, getting on stage, getting off stage, because it's part of it. And I guess that is the way forward.
It's a completely different thing from when you're just in like pit photographer for like a magazine or something. Like those bands, they tend to have like one or two specific people that they like to work with. Like, I think Kikapichi, their photographer, I think he's called Monkey Chops or something. He's pretty cool. He's like, I think he's a wedding photographer by trade.
I think it's people. I think it's bands like Kikapichi. They want the photographer to be part of the whole experience.
Yeah.
we get a lot of contracts through whereby the band will ban professional photographs. Sorry, I can't talk today. After the third song. Now, that's only happened once.
That's pretty old school, isn't it?
That is very old school, and that's only happened out of the 12 or 13 gigs we've done so far. That's only happened once, and that was the first one, I think, top loader. But yeah, that doesn't really happen these days.
That's more for like pit photographers, and like Chinnerys doesn't have a pit.
No.
So
Right.
he doesn't really.
No.
That's more like the agents not just putting like a standard contract through, where it usually would have a pit, but Chinnerys obviously doesn't have a pit, and they don't know that.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But I think it's again probably we deal with a lot of 90s bands. Kick-a-Peachy are very much of the moment, and I would imagine when you come and video them, I imagine they'll let you do whatever you want. They'll probably have their own people anyway.
Yeah, they probably will.
They probably don't care where you go. You could probably stage dive with your camera.
That'd be cool.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Get the whole motion. That would be good.
Stand on that top rail, video on, straight back into the audience.
There's quite a few of my mates that would probably be stage dive.
Yeah.
One of my mates is like on one of the photos that Kick-a-Peachy used to post. I think it's from Brixton or something. I can't remember. It's one of the big venues in London, and you can just see him. It's like a perfect photo. I think he's uses it as like his profile photo, but like
as he goes
you
off.
see him like right mosh pit and just like, and it's definitely him. 'Cause he's got long hair.
I'd like that. Maybe I should do that. I can't fancy that.
Yeah. Did you notice when we went Brixton the other day, they used to have no stage diving signs.
Did they?
On the wall basically above the toilet doors.
Yeah.
They're not there now.
Oh, I think that's right.
They're not there now.
That means you can stage dive. Although there's a massive gap between the stage and the audience.
But
Might have just changed.
Maybe they're still redecorating after reopening, but those signs have gone.
Well, I've got a feeling it might be something to do with the
It might be.
safety regs, because they've obviously redone their health and safety regs completely from what happened. So it might be.
But you would have thought the signs will still be up. But they weren't.
Of course, the king of stage diving is Subway's Billy Lunn, he's told me he's addicted to stage diving, and of course he did it at our gig. But the one that I couldn't believe, and I know other bands have done this. I can't remember the venue, but he climbed on top of some rigging. It must have been 20 feet from there, and I thought, he's not going to do that. Billy.
Yeah, he did.
How's he going to do? He's not going to jump off that. And of course, he didn't even think. He climbed up, waved at everyone, jumped off, as if it was just a normal thing to do. And of course, everyone caught him, and it was fine. But I'm thinking, that's
that's scary. That's broken neck territory.
I saw an insane one of those at Download Festival 2023, Fever 333, which is obviously a bit heavier than the indie stuff that you guys do, but he ran through the whole crowd as they were mosh pitting. Like, they made like a path through the crowd all the way to the very back, which was like probably 80 metres it's got to be or something, to one of the high rigging, climbed up the high rigging whilst he's still screaming and going mental, climbed up the whole thing. It must have been about 40-50 metres in the air or something.
What?
And then just screaming, hanging off, screaming into the crowd. All the crew you could see were going absolutely mental, like boy, if he drops like that.
Did he jump?
No, he didn't jump.
Gonna say.
He would have like ended up.
I thought that's what was gonna happen.
It was absolutely mental. I remember watching it like that is absolutely
crazy.
But he does that quite a lot.
Interesting thing though. That's I think we're
All right, so that's two topics we've got to get people in for: fans and why bring your phones. Next.
Yeah, I think what the phones thing is a bit, because some people nowadays will probably think, well, what's wrong? What are you old dinosaurs? What do you think you're doing? The fans thing is a good thing, because we like to know more about fan clubs, and we join a lot of the social media fan clubs. Some of them are quite small, some of them don't very inactive, but the K's one is enormous and very good, and I'm sure probably helps. It helps the band, because the band will grow because of the amount of effort the supporters put into it. They'll spread their name more, they'll follow them more, they get the crowd going more. So if you've got a really, really good fan club, that is going to help your band skyrocket. Kick-a-Peachy have got one as well, I think, called Club Capeachy with a K. Yeah, okay.
Next.
Let's have a break.
Let's have a break.
See you in a bit.
Before we go on the next topic.